Now that's how you respond. Welcome back to Jags Japan, where we do all things Jacksonville Jaguars, all things Japan, and I'm just a guy. What a game. What a response by this team. They defeat the Los Angeles Chargers 35-6 at home. Great game overall, all three phases. Really couldn't ask for much more. This was the first real complete game that we've seen from this team, both by offense, defense, and just all around the offense, doing anything it wanted on their side of the ball, whether it was rushing the ball, passing the ball. Trevor looked good. Yeah, stats aren't going to say much, but that's just kind of who Trevor is. He's not a stats quarterback. And then flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, talk about having a bad week as far as optics, as your defense lets up that 19-point comeback against the Texans, and everyone's questioning what the heck is wrong with his defense, or just basically just saying that they flat out stink, which is basically what happened in the fourth quarter of that game against Davis Mills and the Texans. But they definitely battled back, and special kudos to Josh Hines-Allen breaking the franchise sack record, getting one sack in today, and also Trayvon Walker making his presence felt from the very first play. So that was great to see. You could tell they definitely heard the noise all week, which I think they should have. I think everyone was kind of calling them out. I'm sure internally they were calling out the defensive line as well, and they all showed up. Even Arik Armstead getting a sack in there as well. So 3 sacks on the day for the defense. Meanwhile, the back end, even with the injuries, obviously Travis Hunter out for the year. Devastating news. Even though I didn't really expect him to really be back this year, given the fact that it is a non-contact knee injury. Those usually just don't do well. There was a little bit of hope that we'd get him back, but we got the news last week. He's out. Jordan Lewis is out, one of our best defensive players. Eric Murray still on IR. And then Greg Newsome goes out with an ankle injury earlier in today's game. I did see him over there on the sidelines, even though he was ruled out. He still had his jersey on and everything, so maybe it's not too bad, but let's just hope that he gets back soon. But even the secondary, who was depleted in the back end, still showed up and had a really, really great day. Shout out to Monteric Brown, really holding it down as coming into the year as wide or as a cornerback 4 or 5 on the team. He's a good depth piece, kind of being thrust in the position to be obviously the number 2 corner, and now with all the injuries right now, probably our number 1 corner, which is not ideal to say the least. But him stepping up, having a great day against a pretty solid receiving group in the Los Angeles Chargers. You didn't hear these guys' name being called basically all day. Besides Keenan Allen had a pretty decent day, but you hold Justin Herbert, arguably a top 6 or 7 quarterback in the NFL, a much maligned defense in the Jacksonville Jaguars, who just get shredded by everyone, including Davis Mills last week. You hold Justin Herbert to 10 for 18, just over 50%, and 81 yards, and obviously get an interception. That is incredible. You can't ask for much more from the defense. So as much as I like to say, the defense won them the game, you've got to look on the offensive side of the ball and say, where has this been all year? Where has this been? The number one stat for me that says it all, in my opinion, is time of possession. 37, almost 38 minutes time of possession to Los Angeles Chargers 22. Usually, that's almost 2/3 of the game you have the ball. Basically 2/3 of the game, actually. That's incredible. That's something that's not really seen a lot, very much in NFL. Another stat that'll jump out to you: 1 penalty for 5 yards. That's right, 1 penalty for 5 yards. After this entire season of averaging, I want to say 10 or 11 penalties a game, they come out here and just get I think 1 false start, or I think it might have been a hands in the face or something. You really can't get much better. And going into this game, I'll be honest, I was not feeling good. If anyone saw my preview show, I had the Jaguars losing, I think 38-20. I thought everything was pointing towards this being just a total blowout for the Chargers. Chargers have been rolling, won 3 in a row, had a really big win over the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. And when you look at the Jags, everything was going in the wrong direction. That loss last week was so bad that legitimately, I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday, and all the all my podcasts, all my radio shows around town for the Jaguars are still talking about how bad that loss was. Usually you have the 24-hour rule. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then it's okay, it's on to next week. But that loss was so bad, it marinated for a while. Couple that with the horrible news to, obviously Travis Hunter out, and then we're just getting hit with injuries left and right. I remember seeing the injury graphic the Jaguars put out, and it was legitimately, I think I counted almost 15 players, and 11 of them were starters. And it's like into the point where starters are getting hurt, and then the backups that are replacing them are also getting hurt, like Hunter Long. Brenton Strange is still out. We thought he had a possibility of coming back. He's still out. Brian Thomas Jr. gets ruled out right before the game, so that means we're literally featuring Tim Patrick on the opening drive. Now, Tim Patrick, solid possession receiver, good blocker, but he's not a guy you want to be out there as your main three. We had Jakobi Meyers, Tim Patrick, and Parker Washington coming in. Thankfully, Parker Washington did play, and he had a pretty solid game as well. But even through all of that, all the injuries, all the negativity, the coaching staff, Liam Cohen, just continued this year. Even though I was pretty negative on just the whole team as in general in the past month, really, we thought earlier in the year this was a different team, a whole new Jaguars. We need to not think about the Jaguars as the Jaguars anymore. It's just almost like a new team with new coaching staff, new GM, a new feeling. And then last month happens, and you lose 3 of 4 games, 3 of them in really bad ways. You're not competitive with Seattle. You get blown out, and you're not competitive with the Rams. You have a bye week in which your star number 2 overall pick that you gave up so many first-round picks for gets hurt and goes on IR. And then you come out and you win against the Raiders, but it's the Raiders, and you literally were 1 play away from losing the game. You had to win in overtime, and it was a failed 2-point conversion. There's a reason why you won. And the offense is looking good, but the defense is just looking terrible. And then there was last week. And so that was just kind of this spiraling down of negativity. And I remember I named my last video, I was like, epic season collapse incoming, because this is what the Jaguars do. To me, I just didn't see a way the Jaguars were going to get it out of it unless the star players for the Jacksonville Jaguars stepped up and played to what their contract says they're playing. And today that happened. I know people, anyone who watches stats is going to look at Trevor's stat line and say, wow, that's extremely average. And I will say that his first half, from what I saw, wasn't the best. It was very much like an inconsistent Trevor Lawrence that we've seen for a while. Make a few really tight window throws on the sideline or over the middle, but then that interception was a bad throw. Yeah, I know we're relying on Tim Patrick to run a quick out route, which is just not really his game. But you got to have a better throw than that. That throw was behind him and read it all the way, stared down Tim Patrick, and threw the pick, and which was really bad. But kudos to this defense for holding that passing game for the Chargers in and the running game, keeping that to only a field goal to make it 7-6 still. But after that interception, I will say I think Trevor really turned it on. Was decisive with his throws. Early on, he looked very shaky. And I think that's what this kind of Jesse Minter, defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers, his defense kind of keeps you guessing. He has so many different coverages, so many different disguises. And I think early on, Trevor had no idea what he was looking at. I remember seeing, even on the first drive, it almost seemed like the game plan was like, hey, Trevor, 1, 2 aren't there. Just figure out a way and take off. And he did. Not to too much success early on, but I think the run game was just offensive line dominating all day. I believe Trevor, was he even sacked today? Yeah, no sacks. He was not even getting close, honestly. So offensive line, great job. And like I said, Trevor was really ripping it. I remember the third quarter specifically. He had 2 touchdown drives. I think it was like a 14-play drive and a 16-play drive, where you could tell the Jaguars could do whatever they wanted. And he had some throws across the middle, from what I remember, specifically to Jakobi Meyers, that seemed like threading the needle. Only a few quarterbacks in the NFL can make throws like that. So good on Trevor for kind of hearing the noise as well, rising above and really leading the offense. Yes, the stats aren't pretty, but with Trevor Lawrence, it rarely ever is. So, it's more about the eye test. What do I see? And it looked like after that interception, looked like he calmed things down, felt really comfortable. And with what he had, let's remember that these like I said, this receiving core with what he had just really commanded the offense well and made some really good throws to kind of keep the Jaguars offense on the field and keep them dominating. Shout out also Bashal Tutin. I hope he's okay. I know he did get injured near the end of the game. Looked like his ankle got rolled up on, and that's the last thing the Jaguars need is another skill player to get injured. But what a day for him! 15 carries, 74 yards, five a pop, and a touchdown, long of 15. He could have had a really long one too if he didn't trip over his feet. But him and Etienne both combined for almost 150 yards on the ground, and they both combined for about 34 carries. That's the Jags offense formula to win, is keeping it on the ground, offensive line getting push, and these backs really making the most of it. Literally perfect situation for the Jaguars offense to get in there and run the ball great. Trevor makes some really key, tough, thread the needle throws, but be decisive, take command, run on the ground when you need it, and he did. He also got a rushing touchdown as well. So not much else to say. This was a dominating performance through and through. Is it something to do with the Chargers? Ever since Trevor Lawrence came into the league, ever since the last 3 times we've faced the Chargers, obviously, was it 4? No, it's 3. I remember 2022, we beat them twice, that one playoff win. You got to wonder if Justin Herbert was seeing ghosts out there after, or has had some kind of PTSD after what happened in the playoffs that year. You got to wonder something like that. But all in all, Trevor Lawrence 4-0 or 3-0 against Justin Herbert. That's something to definitely watch out for. And it's not like the Jaguars have had better teams than the Chargers in those games as well. Trevor, for some reason, just steps up and plays some of his best games, and Herbert does not play some of his best games against the Jags for some reason. For the Chargers, it's just kind of crazy to a team that felt like it had all the momentum. Now, they did lose to the Giants earlier this season coming on the West Coast or coming on the East Coast, so maybe that they're just not equipped to handle that. They're not like the Rams. The Rams, they can, I think, play anywhere, any time zone, and they'll be, on their best. Sean McVay just gets them ready. I really thought the Chargers just had all the momentum, well-coached team, balanced on both sides of the ball, can run it, can throw it, can rush the passer okay, and they can really stop the run. Or they're not too good at stopping the run, but they can hold their own, and then on the defense at least. And the defense has been a big reason why they've been winning games a lot recently too. For the Jaguars to really come in and just do whatever they wanted, to me, this is all coaching and Liam Cohen pressing the right buttons to get the Jaguars up. It was going to be interesting to see how they would respond after last week's disaster, and I think it's safe to say that they really do have a belief in there that they can kind of rally the troops and put on a good performance. I thought this was definitely going to be a loss, and I was already looking at the schedule going forward, being 5-5. I'm sure. Actually, didn't see the other scores for today. I'm sure that the Texans obviously have a much easier schedule right now, and they were able to face the Titans again. Yeah, they won 16-13. Geez, Davis Mills again leading another game-winning drive. But I mean, Texans 5-5 now. They're still alive, obviously, in the race right now. As good, the Colts are on a bye week. But the Jaguars did make up a little bit of ground, going 6-4. I think that there's a huge difference between 6-4 and 5-5. They really bought themselves a little bit more of some room, especially with how the schedule goes forward. We're looking at the next 3 games: at Arizona, at the Titans, and then I believe home against the Colts? Yeah, home against the Colts, and then versus the Jets at home. So you're looking at the next 4 games. They could really go on a run here if they so choose. Now, at Arizona, I think that is a lot harder game than we think. I remember I have scars from 2017, Blaine Gabbert coming in, I believe, and beating that defense in Arizona. So part of that kind of scares me, just the Jaguars going out that way. But the Jaguars should win that game. Arizona, they play tough, but they are in no means a good football team in the NFL right now. And then you got at the Titans, which, yes, it's Nashville, and Jaguars have some terrible memories there, even in the last few years. But that is a team there you should have no business even being close in the 1-9 Titans. So you have the opportunity here, 6-4, could look up and be 8-4 by the time the Colts come in town December 7th, and that will be a game. And if the Jaguars can come up against the Chargers in this one and with all the negativity and with all that stuff, and to fight back and really dominate a playoff team, which the Chargers are a playoff team. They're 7-4. They're right in the thick of things. I think they're in number 5 seed. But not only that, but to get that head-to-head matchup, now the Jaguars have head-to-head against the Chiefs and the Chargers. And now you're looking at the schedule going forward so far and how big this win is. This was the difference, in my opinion, of making the playoffs this year or not. Say what you will, maybe the Jaguars aren't a playoff caliber team, but they just beat a playoff caliber team who was locked into the number 5 seed, beat them handily at home. And that's huge for, like I said, for seeding down the line. Looking at 6-4 now, if the Jags, looking at their schedule, there should be 4 more wins on there at least. You're looking at a possible 10-win team. Now, it's the NFL. Things happen. It's week by week. I would have never said they would have lost to Davis Mills in the way that they did, at least. But that's the NFL for you. You can have one of the worst losses in franchise history, which a lot of people were saying was the worst in franchise history. I'd say maybe it's up there, regular season loss-wise, with the 2023 against the Titans at the last game of the year that knocked us out of the playoffs. So you have one of the worst losses in franchise history, and then you come out and you have one of your best wins in franchise history. The Jaguars are almost in kind of like that Falcons, Panthers, like who the heck are they? How they can look so bad one week ago and then look so good the next week, especially the whole last month of everything negative, and Travis Hunter's not going to be out there and stuff. But looking forward, that's how big this win was. Is that looking forward, this sets up really nicely going forward for the Jags. So good for them. Good for the Jags. Like I said, all the players that got called out, all our star players, they showed up today. What did I say last week? I said, who are the players who are the most highly paid on this team, right? Trevor, Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Arik Armstead. Still not much from De'Ami Brown. 0 catches, 1 target. But anyways, your highest paid players, they showed up to play today. And that's why you win football games. On the Chargers side, highest paid players, outside of Keenan Allen, I don't think anyone showed up to play on the Chargers side. Maybe they thought they'd just come in here and steamroll the Jaguars, but that's how it works in the NFL. You can't take a week off. Now, I mean, they could have been a little bit fatigued. They just had 11 games in a row with no bye week. Getting this game is huge for the Jaguars as far as the everything head to head, staying afloat in the wild card. Like I said, they're now a full 1 game up, on the Chiefs, so they could potentially hold them off. Bills did beat the Buccaneers, so they stay afloat at 7-3. Now they're going to have that 5 seed, while the Chargers have the 6, and the Jaguars are holding on to that 7 seed still for dear life. Meanwhile, the Ravens are tied against the Browns right now. Definitely need the Browns to somehow pull that off if they could. And then a huge game right now with Chiefs and Broncos. I guess that's a team I actually haven't been thinking about, is the Broncos. If the Chiefs win this game, they will be pretty close, neck and neck with the Broncos in the division. So that just makes that December 21st game at the Broncos, which I don't expect the Jaguars to win at all, especially especially so close to Christmas and everything. But who knows, the Jaguars, you never know who's going to show up for the Jags sometimes. The AFC playoff race is crazy this year. But anyways, getting back to the game, I didn't get to watch a ton of it early on, but I did see the whole second half, and I saw the first few drives. And really, from the beginning, I definitely saw a kind of a difference in this offense. It worried me a little bit when they went out on that 4th and 3, and they didn't get it. But there was something calming about it. It was like, okay, they didn't get it, but the defense just forced a huge 3-and-out on the opening drive, a dominant 3-and-out. The offense just went right down the field. Okay, they didn't make it on 4th down, but it seemed like Trevor was in command. I really like what I see with Jacoby Myers. He seems to be definitely him and Parker Washington, the most reliable receivers in this room right now. Like to see BTJ get back soon. That would really help. Yeah, see the growth of Washington and Myers and Tim Patrick in this offense. Even Johnny Munt got in a few catches as our 3rd tight end, and the only one we have playing. And Quinton Morris actually got into a catch too. The stars for Jacksonville showed up. Can't discount anything for that. And they beat a playoff team at home in one of the most dominant fashions I think I've seen the Jaguars play in a long time. Can't help but be happy to be a Jags fan today. Jags fans, you deserve it. It's been a rough month. But let's move on to let's go ahead and move on to players of the game. Offensive player of the game. It's tough because there's actually, this is one of those where I'm actually kind of hard to see who I want to give it to. I'll go ahead and give it to Bashal Tootin and give it to the rookie. I think he really showed a lot of physicality in his runs today. Hit the hole quick. Was running over linebackers and running over secondary players at the second level. Another one, I mean, I could give it to just the whole offensive line in general. When you think about that, they kept Trevor clean the whole day and opened up huge running lanes for ETN and Tootin all day. So I'd love to give it to the offensive line, but I think, given Tootin, having his best day on the ground, leading the Jags in carries and a great 5 yard a clip carry. I'm going to give it to him. I think he had a great day, and he got another touchdown as well. ETN also had an amazing day. He got 2 touchdowns on the ground, averaged about 4 yards a carry, 19 carries for 73 yards. So the whole running day and the whole running game in general, the whole offensive line, the entire offense, I could give them all awards for how they played, in my opinion. Really, the only thing that didn't go the Jaguars' way on offense was that interception by Trevor early on, which, of course, Trevor has to have one of those every single game, but he had a good game too. I'm not going to knock him too bad. And then, of course, the injury to Tootin, so I hope he's okay. I'm sure we'll figure out what's going on later. Switching over on defense, I think I got to give it to Josh Hines-Allen for how big this game was for the edges specifically, for him to come out, really get pressure all day. Finally, I saw a game where not only did he dominate his assignment he had a left tackle for the Chargers, who's like their backup to backup left tackle, dominated him the whole game like he should have, but then also get home for a sack, break the franchise record. He's now the franchise leading record holder in sacks, so great for him. But specifically for this week, he really needed that with all the noise, all the people questioning him. Is it over? Is the noise over? No. Still only 1 sack. I think he only has 3 this year. For him to be at all, where he should be, we need to see that week in and week out from now on. There should be no excuse. If you're labeled a premier pass rusher in this league, there's no excuse you should have less than 8 sacks a year, in my opinion. I know last year was kind of weird because they had to gain so much weight in the Ryan Nielsen defense and everything, but there's no denying he's had a down year. So for him to have a game like that, break the record, and really shut a lot of people up, good for him. And a special trophy just to Liam Cohen for making all of this possible. Would have been really easy. I almost had this game, like I said, I wasn't even really locked in on it that much, and going into it, I did not have good feelings about it at all. It would have been easy to say, look, with everything going on in the last month, we got an easier schedule later down the road. Let's just kind of get through this game. Let's cross it off, move on. No, they really stuck it to the Chargers. Good for the Jags. And like I said, moving forward, got an exciting November and December, hopefully. But your Jaguars are 6-4 with a lot good going on for them. So if they can just get a little bit healthier, play a good game out in Arizona next week against a really tough football team, I'll have my preview and my thoughts about that later this week to see what they can do, see if they're going to get that win. I still don't know how I feel. I mean, if they can beat a playoff caliber team like the Chargers at home, there should be no reason they don't handle the Cardinals even at Arizona. But I'll have to kind of break down and see. This whole league is a matchup league. It's week to week. Things are just crazy right now, especially in the AFC. If they're going up against Jacoby Brissett, that makes me nervous because the Jaguars against backup quarterbacks, well, it's really weird. I don't know how you can let up 300 yards passing to Davis Mills, and then you hold Justin Herbert, a bona fide franchise top 7 quarterback in the NFL, to 80 yards. But that's just the way it is sometimes. Anyways, that's my breakdown for today. I appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, I'll have my preview video for next week coming up soon. Thanks for all supporting the channel. Stay tuned for more Jags Japan content. Go Jags, and I'll see you later.